For tutorial 3 in chapter 7, I'm going to start this object simply by doing a sketch on the top view. So I'm going to click on the top plane and select sketch. And in this case I'm going to click on the look at sketch option, and I am going to start with a centered rectangle as opposed to a normal rectangle. What this will do is it'll give me a plane that always cuts the thing in half this way and a plane that always cuts it in half this way. So once I draw that rectangle, I'm going to go ahead and change my dimensions. The overall for this is 300 in this direction and 150 in this direction. So now I'm gonna be doing this a little bit differently than the tutorial in the book, because one of the focuses of chapter 7 is patterned features. So in keeping in mind with patterned features, I want to be able to use as many patterned features as I can in the creation of this. So this is all I'm going to do for this initial sketch. And now I will go ahead and extrude this the total height of 32. And I'll say OK to that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in that feature that cuts out the flat oval on each side. So I'm just going to click here and go to sketch. And I'm going to do a circle right here. I need to project this edge so that I have that edge to work with. And then I'm going to do a line that comes straight down this way, and another line lined up with the center that comes straight down this way. At this point I can go ahead and go to delete segment and get rid of the two inside lines on my circle and the two outside lines of my projected line. Now all I need to do is actually finish dimensioning this. So if we look at the dimensions in here, the distance that these things come in is a little bit of a math problem. So if we look, they are spaced 230 apart. So if they're 230 apart and the total width of the object is 300, that leaves me with 70. So if we divide that 70 by 2, we get 35. So that's an indication that each one of these is 35 deep. And the radius that's given for this is 15. So I can come in here and do 15. Now since I did this on the center and everything, that means that I have no more weak dimensions and I'm ready to move forward with this command. So I'll go ahead and say OK to this. And now I'll go to extrude and it automatically selects this profile. Well, what I want to do in this case is I want to tell it to go the other way, and I want to tell it to go through all, and it's already removing the material. So if it's not removing the material, then you need to select this button, and that tells it that it's going to be doing a cut. So at this point I can go ahead and click OK to apply this command, and you'll notice that it's highlighted. And if you click somewhere and unhighlight it, it's OK. You can click back here on extrude and then go to mirror. Once you go to mirror, you're going to select your mirror plane, and because I did that centered rectangle first, I have a mirror plane that I can use right here, and I can just select OK to get the other side of this complete. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and locate the circular feature on the top of this. So I'll click on the top face and sketch, go to the circle command, and then I'm going to draw a circle that it has a diameter that matches the width. So there's two ways that I can do this. I can just dimension it that way, which is what I'm going to do in this case, or I can project one of my lines and just draw the circle to that. But I'm just going to go ahead and draw the circle and give it a diameter dimension of 150. Once I have that, I can go ahead and say OK and extrude that object, and this is going to be extruded 90 minus 32, which comes out to be 58. At this point I'm ready to begin placing holes. So I'm going to place the hole that does not have a pattern first. So I'm going to left click hole, and I'm going to place the big hole that has a diameter of 70 in the center of the object. So I'm going to left click this face as the face where the hole is going to begin. Then I'm going to hit Control and select the axis, which is where I want to place the hole. The diameter for this hole is going to be 70, and the depth for this one is going to go all the way through. So if I orbit a little bit, I can verify that that's going all the way through, and I can then hit my checkbox. The next hole that I'm going to place is the one that is dimensioned in the book, which is the little hole up here that is given a dimension of 25 off of each edge. So I'll click on the hole command, select my top face here, click on the placement tab, and then click here where it says click to select offset references, and then I'll left click the top edge, hit control, left click the right edge, and now I can go ahead and put in the information. I'm going to change the size of the hole first to the diameter of 20, which is what it is. That way it gives me a proper preview. And I know that this is 25 off of each side. Once I have the parameter specified for the hole, I hit the checkbox. And now I want to do a pattern feature to replicate this hole. So I'm going to click on pattern, and instead of a dimensional, I'm going to do a directional. For my first direction, I'm going to select this line, and then I can see that it's wanting to go backwards, so I'm going to left click here to flip it. And the distance between these two holes is going to be 250. For my direction 2, I'm going to left click this edge, and the distance between them in this case is going to be 100. So I can go ahead and hit the checkbox to get those. Now again, for the next hole, because I have these planes cutting this object in half, and I know the bolt hole circle, I can actually use these planes as the reference edges, so I don't need to do any type of sketch for this particular hole. So when I click on the hole command, I'm going to left click this face as the face to place the hole. And these holes do go all the way through. So that's something that I need to keep in mind as I'm going in here too. I'm going to change that now to through all. Then I can click on the placement tab, click here to select my offset references, and now my references, first one I'm going to click is my front plane, then I'm going to hold control, and then I'm going to select my right side plane. Once I do that, the distance from my right side plane is 0. So I don't actually need to specify that dimension. And I'm going to go ahead, I forgot to click somewhere, so rather than trying to figure out exactly where this went wrong, I'm going to cancel it and just restart it. In most cases, that's going to be easier than trying to figure out where you forgot to click. So I'm going to click here, select placement, and then click here to specify my offset references. I'll click here, hit control, click here, and now I can go in and specify the parameters for this hole. So it's going to be 0 from here. The bolt hole circle is dimensioned at 106, which means that it is going to be 53 from that plane. The depth is going to be through all, and the diameter of these holes is 15. Once I have all the information specified for that first hole, I can go ahead and say OK. I'm going to go right into the pattern command, and I'm going to select axis. The axis that I'm going to be using for my pattern is this one right here in the center of my object. And right now it's specified for angle between and number of items. Well, for the number of items, I want it to be 8. And now I can do the math for 360 divided by 8, and I can get the 45, or I can just click over here for the total angle of the pattern, which in this case is going to be 360 degrees. Once I have that specified, I can hit the checkbox, and it is going to fill out that pattern for me. At this point, this object file is done. I can go ahead and save it and turn it in.